How do you set up a new backplate and wing system so it's going to fit your body appropriately? This is a bit of a time-consuming trial and error kind of process to get it set up. But the beauty of a backplate is once you have it set, it's going to be a custom fit just for you, and every dive is just that much more comfortable. But before we dive into setting up the new backplate, let me introduce myself. So my name is Larry from Channel Island Scuba. Whether you're thinking about starting your open water course, or you're an experienced diver just looking to level up your knowledge base, we are the community of divers asking the same questions that you are, and hopefully we're going to find the answers all together. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for checking us out, and a very special thank you to all of our returning divers. If the information we discuss in this video is of value to you, please like the video, and if you want some more, subscribe to our channel. Really does go a long way to help other divers find us, so we can hopefully add some value to their dives as well. Awesome. With that, let's dive back into our main topic of setting up our backplate. So today we're going to be looking at the XDeep Zeos backplate and wing system. The XDeep Zeos is their traditional backplate. It's very similar to what you're going to find from a lot of the different brands out there. We're actually working with their Dive Center edition. So the Dive Center edition is the rental version of the backplate. It is slightly different from the retail version that you would be purchasing, and I'll kind of highlight those differences as we're going on. But this is actually the BC that we rent to our open water students during all of our classes, and they're available to rent to all other divers. One of the key features on the Dive Center version is that we have our custom stitching along the side. I think that looks really slick. But main things that we're looking at on the backplate system. So first thing is the wing itself. So the wing is actually the bladder that is attached to the backplate. It's a modular system, so it's actually separate. These are donut style, so the bladder actually wraps entirely around the backplate and allows the air to move freely across your back. Then we have our plate. So the plate itself is the structure of the BC. This is a stainless steel plate. You also have the option for aluminum, but with stainless steel plates, they are negatively buoyant. They are a little bit heavier because of that, but the negative buoyancy is about 6 pounds negative. So that's actually 6 pounds of lead we can take off of our weight belt, and it's now instead spread across our back. This also allows most people to ditch the trim weights because it's already built into your back plate. Another main feature we have is the harness system itself. So the harness system is your shoulder straps, your waist strap. This is the deluxe version from XDeep. So the deluxe version has the shoulder strap pads. It also has an adjustable shoulder strap, so you can easily adjust it to get in and out of. And it does have the quick release system. Your traditional backplate is going to have a single piece of webbing. The single piece of webbing is typically threaded through the backplate itself. You can kind of see where it would thread through here and here. In that case, it is a slightly different adjustment style, and we'll actually have a separate video for how to adjust a single piece of webbing. Another main feature on our backplate is the crotch strap. So the crotch strap will actually run between your legs. This prevents the butt of the backplate from lifting off of your lower back. This is especially important when you have aluminum cylinders, because the aluminum cylinders will become positive over the dive. They'll start to lift up. It also prevents it from shifting too high on your body as well. So for getting it set up for us, first thing I want to do straight out of the box is see how it fits now so I can see what kind of adjustments I'm going to need to make. So I'll start off with tightening it up as tight as it can go, and then just physically throw it on. So I want to first see where the back plate itself sits on my back. It should be sitting right about where my fingertips are touching back here. So I will need to lift it up slightly. We can see there's some adjustments that need to be made on the shoulder strap. We also have our waist strap. We want to see where it sits, so the buckle is pretty long. Now, one thing we need to take into account for both the shoulders and the waist is actually what kind of exposure protection we're going to be wearing underneath. So if I'm going to be wearing a dry suit, I can pretty much assume probably about here is where it's going to be sitting. Now, if you want to do this really right, you actually go ahead and put on the exposure protection and get yourself fitted with what you're actively going to be wearing. Okay. Once I've kind of taken a look at those, I'm going to take a look at my crotch strap. Now the crotch strap should be sitting about belly button height. So this is a little bit long. I'm going to shorten that up just a touch, right about there. And you do want it to be relatively snug. It doesn't need to be like really tight on you, but it should be a little bit snug. So I can see I need to readjust it. And then the last thing, where your D-rings sit. So put your arms out by your side, thumbs facing forward, bring yourself straight in. This is where you want your D-rings to be because it's going to be the easiest to clip them off. So actually, I'm all right with where they're sitting. They're a touch low, but that's probably fine. So now that we know where it sits, it's time to make some minor adjustments. So on the deluxe version, your adjustment for your shoulder straps is actually right here at the buckle. We can see where the webbing is kind of fed back through on the D-ring. So here I'm going to actually shorten it up just a little bit. I really only need to take a couple inches off of it, and I'll probably move the D-ring up slightly too. So first thing I'm going to do is open it up and undo these. This does take a little bit of effort to get it right. So feed that guy through. And you don't have to bring it out here, but I like to. I like to just pull it out of the Tri-Glide webbing keeper. Okay. At this point, I can move the D-ring up to where I actually want it to be. So I only really wanted to move it about, a few centimeters up maybe. All right. And then I can shorten this distance by really just simply pulling it. You have these really nice webbing bands here. They're going to be useful for a lot of gear, a lot of keeping like flashlights and stuff in place. So I like to make sure it's sitting in a nice spot. Now that I've gotten that shortened up, feed this back through. Okay. Now here's a little trick. I could feed this back in right now, or I can leave it right where it's at, which is what I'm going to do. This way, as I need to make more minor adjustments, I don't have to keep feeding it back through, back and forth. I can put it back all the way through the Tri-Glide when I've actually made my final adjustment. I'm happy where everything is. So now I'll do the other side. And the goal here is to really make sure that both sides are identical, right? You really don't want one sitting off from the other. So. All right. When I'm making sure everything lines up the same, what I like to do is pull on it. Because here we can see one of the D-rings is clearly sitting higher than the other. So that allows me to really get it lined up correctly. Now they're even with each other. So do the same thing with the buckle. You can see one buckle is clearly longer than the other. Tighten it up. And now that I have them both fed through, I can really check to see that those D-rings are sitting identically and that our gap between our D-ring and our buckle are the same. So those look good. I'm going to put it back on now and see where we're sitting from here. So once again, D-ring check, happy with where they are. Backplate check. Yeah, I'm happy with where this sits. Could sit a little bit higher, but I think once I have my exposure protection on, it'll sit appropriately. So we're good with the shoulder straps. Now I want to double check the waist one more time while I'm here. So I'm going to shorten this up, a few inches. So we know the shoulder strap's good, so I'm going to go ahead and just lock it down before I jump into the waist strap. And if you want to, you could trim some of this excess, but being a rental, in case we need to re-expand it later on, I'm going to just strap it down and put it under the shoulder strap Velcro. Clean out of the way. So, looking at the waist, the buckle itself, you want it sitting just past your belly button. And this was sitting like well off to my side. So we want to adjust it at the buckle itself. Typically, there's a bunch of excess webbing tucked into the side. We're going to feed this back through. And really just undo a bunch of them. I pretty much just back this out for the most part all the way. Get it to where it sits, where we want it. Right about there will be good. And then same thing, I also don't put it back through this last one because I assume I'm going to need to make another adjustment in case I miss the mark. So once again, backplate goes back on our body. We see where this is sitting now. So I like this. This is just past my belly button. It's not quite touching the weight pockets. This is a good spot. I'm happy there. So now that we know we're in a good spot, I'll feed it back through this last little loop. And if this is your own, you can go ahead and cut this excess if you want. I would still leave, a little bit of slack in there, or a little excess, in case you do want to readjust it later on. Maybe you decide to expand your undergarments in your dry suit or just switch to a dry suit. It'll be nice to have that. For us, we're going to tuck all this away in case we need to extend our rentals. And you can see it actually tucks out of the way. You'll never even know it's there. Next up is the crotch strap. Now, the crotch strap on the Dive Center edition is very different from the retail version. Key things you may notice are different. There is no front D-ring or rear D-ring. We sacrificed those for the Dive Center version in order for it to be completely adjustable. So I can adjust this on the fly for my students. The version you have will not be that easy to adjust. That's a good thing. We don't want it easy to adjust for ourselves. The D-rings are also beneficial for equipment. So the one up front is to attach yourself to a DPV, diver propulsion vehicle. The one in the back, you can have things like SMBs and reels clipped off to it. Again, Dive Center Edition does not have those D-rings. When you're adjusting your own, it is going to be this kind of an attachment here where it threads through the back of the backplate, and then you have a tri-glide. So to adjust this, we're going to undo, and I like to really undo it all the way again. Readjust where the webbing keeper sits. We only really need to take a couple inches off. That will probably do it. Feed it back through. And there we go. So now, final fitting. We want to make sure that everything is exactly where we want it to be. Took too much off the crotch strap, but for sake of time, quick adjust. Okay, so your crotch strap will actually feed through the buckle here. It sits right there, right at the belly button. Buckle is on the other side. This will kind of catch it in case your system comes undone. That way it doesn't completely fall off through your body. It's still really easy to undo it if you're doing it intentionally though. The other side will feed through here. and we buckle it down. Now you have a lot of excess webbing here, a lot of excess webbing. That's fine. Like for this amount, I might even leave that because right now I'm kind of set for being in tropical water, rash guard, but if I decide to switch to a dry suit, I might be sitting more like this, right? A lot more padding there, and that gives me a lot of excess. But if we do want to trim it, and I'll take, because we're gonna actually set this for smaller divers in our rentals, so I'll take a little bit off. So if we do want to trim it, I'm only going to take maybe an inch off of this. Find yourself a really sharp pair of scissors. There's the stitching that's going across the webbing. We want to cut on the same stitch. We don't want to come at an angle because then you're going to get a bunch of fraying. We may still get some fraying, but we don't want a lot. Pull off any little excess frays. I'm just going to clip that. Okay. Now we have a nice clean line. Pull all these little excess stuff. Trim off some of the excess hairs. Then we want to get a lighter. I really like your blow torches because you can get a really crisp, clean burn. Take it at an angle so that you're kind of directing. And the smoother you can get this, the easier it's going to be when you're threading it through your webbing. And one thing I like to do while it's hot is rub it along the lighter itself to really smooth these pieces out. Here we have a clean cut. Okay, so now we have our backplate set up for our body. The final thing we need to do is put the tank straps on. So for the XDeep, they do not come pre-installed. So throwing them on, first thing I'm going to do is just unthread the way it comes in the comes out of the box. So the cool thing on these is they're all numbered in what in where that thread, or where the webbing is going to get threaded through. So put it through your single tank adapter. And I like to pull it all the way so that the buckle is pretty much right at the edge. Then just follow the numbers. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. And number 4. Do our second one. And I like to make sure that the buckles are coming off of the same side. And once again, we just follow the numbers. 1, 2, 3, okay. And there we have our fully set up custom XDeep Zeos backplate and wing. Awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to collect my thoughts, come back and hit you guys with a conclusion in just a second. So this was how to set up the XDeep Zeos backplate and wing. This is XDeep's traditional backplate and wing system. This system comes in 10 different color options, or you can go the full custom route with XDeep's custom configuration online tool. There you can mix and match colors and have your name stitched into the wing. With over 20 different customization options and over 1,000 ways this backplate can be configured, there are truly no two custom backplates that are the same. I'll drop a link for the XDeep custom configuration tool in the description down below. Now let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you like your backplate adjusted? What have you done to customize your system? I'd really love to hear your thoughts and get a conversation started on this. I promise I do try my best to respond to all your comments when I can. If you want more info on the XDeep backplate and wing, or want to get yourself fitted, reach out to one of your local XDeep dealers. If you want to support the things that we're doing here at the channel, we've got a web store where you can find the full line of XDeep backplates, including the Zeos full custom option. I'll drop a link for that in the description down below too. And finally, we want to give a shout out to one of our local divers, Blake, who asked us to get him fitted in his brand new fully customized XDeep backplate and wing system. If you'd like to see your question featured in one of our videos, you can drop your question in the comments section of any of our videos or reach out to me directly via Facebook, Instagram, or email. I'll put a link for all of that in the description for you down below too. Once again, I'm Larry from Channel Island Scuba. Thank you so much for watching. Safe and happy diving.